What you in that door, Dolo?
So that first picture was Pac-Man, and that I started doing that because I wanted to start making fan art of the different characters I really liked. And so I was playing as Pac-Man in Smash Brothers a lot when that was like big. And so yeah, he was one of my favorite characters. So I was just like, okay, I think I want to draw him. And that was when I first started thinking about like backgrounds and stuff. And this was one of the first ones where I was like, okay, let me do something different with the background. And that just kind of stuck. This character is Nami, and she is from an anime called One Piece. And I really liked her, just like her whole, I liked her personality, but I liked her story, how like she came from Arlong and then Luffy came to save her, and now she's on his team and she trusts him because of what happened. So yeah, I just really think that was a pretty cool whole journey for her story. And the background is her tattoo. That's Toad, when first plays, Mario Kart. He's one of my favorite characters that I use in that game, so I was just like, okay, well, and that's my favorite power-up too, the 3 red shells, because they'll locate anybody, so yeah, I like that. And then the next one is Sonic the Hedgehog, and I think, well, he's one of my favorite video game characters, but I think this was after, or right when Sonic Mania came out, and I was playing that like crazy, and then I was like, oh man, I think I gotta draw him. Because I mean, yeah. Why not? And so yeah, you'll notice this is like a lot of my favorite characters. So Wolverine, I was playing Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and he's one of my favorite characters in that game. So I was like, okay, might as well draw him too. And this was when I was like, I wouldn't say studying graffiti, but I was like looking into it. And so I was just kind of like, okay, what can I do with his famous snicket noise? And so I just threw it in the background. I made it spiky because that's kind of like what his mask is like. And so yeah, and I put his slogan there because I wanted him to, say what he said. This character is Deidara from Naruto, another anime, and he was a really good villain in the show, and so that's why I decided to draw him. I also thought it would be interesting to tackle the whole multiple mouths thing in a drawing, so yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. This character is an original, but it is inspired by the Salt girl with the umbrella, and she this was for not a contest, it was just like, hey, submit your art because you're part of this community thing. And so it was for one of my favorite streamers, and so I just submitted my art for them, and they said they liked it. And then so she is number 5 from Codename Kids Next Door. I drew her because Black History Month was starting, and so I figured I'd draw her because she was one of the first black cartoon characters I remember seeing. And then there's Gerald, Hey Arnold's best friend, and so I decided to draw him because, all of these are Black History Month related. So yeah, that's why I decided to draw him. And this was when I started doing monochromatic color schemes. And so that means that it's all one color. And so yeah, that's why I wanted to try and do something different with this. Recess was another show that I remember seeing early on, and I just remember seeing him a lot in the show, and like I just felt connected because he was like one of the black characters, and like I don't know, so that's why I decided to draw him, because I remember seeing him as a kid a lot, and he was cool in the show, so I figured why not. And then this next one is big because I mean she was a Penny Proud family, big part of my childhood. I mean I used to watch that show all the time. And specifically for Black History Month, I would say that is like a staple for sure. And then Fairly Odd Parents, yeah, I decided to draw him because I thought he was a good character, since I would say he's not breaking down stereotypes, but he's a black character, and he's like the smartest one. I think that's pretty cool. And then there's Huey from the Boondocks, who's super smart and really cool, and a warrior and stuff. This is just really cool how he has all like the knowledge, and he's always spitting it to Riley, and yeah, he's just great show, good cool character. Black History Month, yeah. Fat Albert, another series I saw early on, and I was like, hey, there's black people on the screen, so I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I mean all those characters are super cool. the whole vibe of the show was just like really funny. So yeah, so that's Wade, and he was a character in Kim Possible, and he's another black character that was like one of the smartest in the room. So it was just pretty cool to see him as like not a role model, but like, hey, you can do this and you're smart too. This was when Women's History Month started, and I was like, okay, let me draw women. And so she was one of the characters I remember laughing. Well, I laughed at her because she was funny. So she was one of the funniest characters in Gravity Falls. So yeah, I decided to draw her. Buttercup, I decided to draw her because this is all a Women's History Month thing. So it's all a part of that. But yeah, she was one of my favorite Powerpuff Girls. So I drew her first. And so yeah, she's just cool. Her attitude, everything about her. I like her demeanor. Like, yeah, she's just a cool character. Okay, so we got Bubbles here, and she's another Powerpuff Girl, also during Women's History Month. And I just decided to draw her because I wanted to draw all the Powerpuff Girls since I drew Buttercup before, so I figured I might as well tack them all. And she's funny, so yeah. And then there's Riley, because, a part of the Boondocks. I wanted to give him a something different for his shirt, just because. And so I was like, what's a superhero I think Riley would fuck with? And I felt like he would fuck with Batman just because he'd be going around like fucking people up. And so yeah, I just figured, why not give him that jersey, just to give him like a little extra pop. And so yeah, this was after Women's History Month, and I was just thinking about different things to draw. This is number 1 from Codename Kids Next Door, and he's like the leader of the group, and I figured I might as well draw him since I drew number 5, and he was also just like a cool character in the show, so I was like, yeah, why not draw him? That is Shigeo from the anime Mob Psycho, and I wanted to draw him because I thought it would be cool to draw a character that has telekinesis, because he's got the stuff flying around him, so I figured that'd just be like a cool, interesting thing to try and draw. And so yeah, I ended up doing that, and it turns out better than I thought it would. And I like how the background turned out too. So that's Danny Phantom, and again, this was just me picking out characters that I just liked. And so yeah, he was another cartoon character from my childhood that I just really enjoyed watching. I've seen the whole show, so I was just like, might as well draw Danny then. Hey, so this next page was a assignment in my class that I had to do, where we had to draw ourselves in 4 different art styles. And so from the left to right, it goes art style, geometric, comic book, Archie comic book, and then semi-realistic. And so yeah, that's just what I went with. I had to draw myself. Those were some of the outfits I was wearing. Not the Archie one, but the yellow hoodie. I had that on. So this was another assignment from that same class, where we had to draw ourselves in a story, and just like a 4-panel story about whatever we wanted to. And so what I decided to do was a story of myself going outside. I trip over a rock, I drop my phone, I break my phone, and then I'm devastated about it. And so this here was another assignment, and it was to get a comic book, or really get anybody's art style that we don't like, and then draw it in a style that we did like. And so his art style was like very retro, and like I think it had very flat colors, and it didn't really sit right with me with how it looked. And so I was just like, I think it'll look cooler black and white with cross hatching and stuff, just because I think that adds more contrast to it, and that's just my preference. So yeah, that's what I went with. And so this page here was that it was assignment from that class, but we had to pretty much draw a 3-page comic. So what's going on here is it's an establishing shot of what's going on. You got the character Barry the owl over there. He wakes up, his stomach's rumbling because he's hungry. So he flies out, looks for food. He finds these 3 baby squirrels. He got his eye on them, and then he goes to attack. And then after that, the mom shows up, and she's like, oh no, ain't no way you're gonna attack my kids like that. And so she pulls out a gun, and then that throws off Barry, because like, how does that squirrel have a gun? And so then he dodges it, right? Because that squirrel had no idea about recoil from guns. So that's why the squirrel went flying, and he dodged it, and that's why the squirrel's on the ground. And it's supposed to be like a funny bit. So this here is another assignment, and it was to draw a comic book, but we had to draw our partner's story. So this was a story about a Turkish man being friends or meeting his friend in India and them going to a firewalking festival, and they, you know, meet up there and hang out and become friends and stuff. That's him flying out, meeting his friend, got on a plane, he met his friend. So this character is another character from Marvel vs. Capcom, and his name is Strider Hiryu, and he was another cool character just because like every time he moves his sword, you can hear like a shing sound, and I thought that was pretty cool, so I decided to like draw it and try to like emulate that in the drawing because I just thought it was just a cool thing, and he's got a glowing sword. Next one is, so this is 3 of my favorite content creators, and so this was for their like, hey, submit art of us thing. That wasn't a competition, it was just like, you know. So I decided to draw Berlizzi, Joe Aiko, and PG. And so yeah, I drew them all as Static Shock just because I thought, I don't know, it would be a cool combination. And so yeah, I was just like, okay, 3 different Static Shocks, I think that would be pretty cool. And so this is Afro Samurai, and this was when I was consistently posting on Instagram. And so yeah, that's where you can see like, you know, the background still going on and me wanting to draw my favorite characters. So that's Susie from Rugrats, and yeah, I drew her because it was Black History Month. Same thing with Afro Samurai. I just really like those characters, so I was like, you know what, let's do it. I just really like throwing around different things that you can, you know, move your eye around the page at. And so yeah, that's Dr. Falasir, I think that's how you pronounce it, from Princess and the Frog, the Disney movie. And so yeah, he's a cool villain, and yeah, I just think he's a cool villain. This was all Black History Month stuff. So yeah, Cyborg from Teen Titans. I decided to draw him because, you know, I figured I could make that blast look pretty cool with the background and everything that I was doing. So yeah, so that's Lana, and so this was for Women's History Month. So yeah, that was Lana, and she's from the TV show Archer, and she's one of my favorite characters from that show. And so she's one of my favorite X-Men characters because she's super cool and her powers are super cool. So yeah, that's Storm, and yeah, I just wanted to draw her because, again, this is going with the backgrounds and thinking about that. I figured I could do something cool with it because she has weather powers. So that's Dee Dee from Dexter's Laboratory, and so yeah, I just, you know, she really likes pink, and so I was like, okay, why not make it a monochromatic with a lot of pink? That's all. It's a variation of the same color. This is Blossom and Bliss from Powerpuff Girls. I figured I'd draw them too since I had already drawn Buttercup and Bubbles. So yeah, I figured I might as well, you know, complete the whole group. There's Kirby. I think, yeah, he was just another one of my, he's in Smash Bros and I use him a lot, but I think he's just one of my favorite video game characters too. So, and he's easy to draw since he's just a circle. So yeah. Okay, so this one is a story. Okay, so this one was actually an assignment for my storyboarding class, and so it's not completed because I dropped out of that class and retook it the next semester. But so this story isn't completed, but it's the story of what we were talking about in the interview, where my mom gave me a whooping because I cooked eggs. And so this is like, you know, the first design of me being scared at the top of the stairs because I'm like, you know, she's about to call me downstairs, about to get whooped. And so then that next one is me cooking the eggs, you know, not behind her back, because I mean, I just thought I could make some eggs. So yeah, that's me cooking. And then the next one is my mom being angry. And I remember her like pointing down like that. I don't think she had a belt, and that was like exaggerated, but I just figured I would, you know, exaggerate it as much as I could, so I gave her fiery eyebrows to emphasize how angry she was in that moment. And so yeah, she's waving the belt around like, hey, you better get down here. So yeah, I just, you know, that's the end of that. And I think I'm gonna continue that in my personal work, and you'll probably see it when I drop it. And so yeah, thank you guys for everything. Appreciate you, and I hope you look into my artwork more. And, you know, hey, you take care of yourself and inspire others. Be kind and compassionate to other people. Draw as much as you can, and do not look at anybody else and think like you can't do it. Okay, so even if somebody's better than you or whatever, they still work their ass off to get at that position to where they're in. And there's nothing that can get in your way to achieving the same results as they did, as long as you work hard for it. So yeah, thank you. That's my ending. Thank you.
Hey, what's up, man? It's your boy Dolo Man, and you're not watching Dolo Man TV. Like, comment, and subscribe. Get it.